The Arabian Sea was glass beneath the twilight, tranquil, glowing, deceptive. The Al-Zahra, a 90-foot private yacht gleaming under chandeliers and artificial laughter, rocked gently with the waves like a lullaby luring its passengers into a lie. Zoya Malik stood at the edge of the upper deck, her manicured fingers curled loosely around a champagne flute she hadn't touched. Her gaze wasn't on the guests or the rising moon, or even the coastline far behind them. It was fixed, empty, somewhere inside. The sea smelled of salt and secrets. Tonight was supposed to be a celebration, a reconciliation orchestrated by her father, media magnate Tariq Malik. The family had invited politicians, celebrities, influencers, and loyal clients of Malik Global Communications. Publicly, it was Zoya's return to the public eye after a self-imposed hiatus. Privately, it was a trap. She had been quiet lately. Too quiet, some said. Others whispered about therapy, drugs, or heartbreak. But no one asked her directly. No one ever did. Not when her surname was Malik and her world was built on polished veneers and closed doors. At 7:03 p.m., Zoya walked calmly down the steps leading to the lower deck. One server glanced at her, distracted. A bodyguard, hired more for show than skill, turned his head for a moment too late. By 7:17 p.m., she was gone. Just like that. No splash. No scream. No sign. Zoya Malik had vanished from her father's yacht, and the most expensive party of the year became a crime scene with no suspects, no witnesses, and no answers. The morning headlines were designed for damage control. Tragic accident on Malik family yacht, Zoya presumed drowned. Coast Guard continues search, Billionaire offers $2 million reward. Friends remember Zoya, she lit up every room. By the second day, conspiracy theories flooded social media. Had she run away? Been kidnapped? Killed? Some claimed a rival business family was behind it. Others blamed mental illness. But the official version was simple, an accident. Tariq Malik went live on national television 3 days after the disappearance. Dressed in mourning white, with puffy eyes and a slow, trembling voice, he spoke about loss, pain, and forgiveness. A rosary dangled from his hand, a deliberate touch. He had never been religious. My daughter was fragile, he said, pausing for effect. We believe she may have jumped. The public mostly believed him. Her friends posted tearful Instagram reels, shared old voice notes, and held candlelight vigils in Karachi's elite cafes. Hashtags trended. Bouquets were sent. But behind the curated grief, murmurs spread. Samir Awasti, one of Zoya's oldest friends, said something off-script in an anonymous tabloid interview. She was scared, Yar. Like, really scared. Of what? She never said. Just, something old. Someone old. She said they were watching her. The quote was pulled before print. The journalist was reassigned. Zoya's body was never found. Rihan Qureshi was drunk when the email arrived. It was 2:14 a.m. and the rain pounded the tin roof of the tiny room he rented above an old bookshop in Soldier Bazaar. His laptop screen flickered with half-finished drafts, conspiracy PDFs, and decades-old clippings. Rihan used to be a name, one of Pakistan's most fearless investigative reporters. Then he got too close to a military scandal and was promptly erased from every newsroom in the country. He opened the email out of habit. From unknown@protonmail.com. Subject, Zoya Malik, she didn't drown. Message, she left behind a diary. Her real story begins on page 43. Attached, a single photo. A handwritten diary page. Blue ink, slightly smudged, lines straight, intentional. Rihan zoomed in. They told me to stay quiet. That it's always been this way. But I've seen it now, the old tapes, the names, the rooms. My father isn't afraid of me dying. He's afraid I'll speak. Rihan blinked. The words were clear. Not poetic, not confused. Just raw fear. For the first time in 2 years, the fire in his gut returned. Zoya Malik had been a social media darling. That was easy enough to fake. But what intrigued Rihan was what she left beneath the surface. Using dark web tools and ghosted server access points he hadn't touched in years, he started scraping through every digital footprint she'd left behind: Reddit alt accounts, encrypted message boards, old student blogs from her university days in London. What he found was disturbing. Under the alias Aurora Dust, Zoya had been posting audio clips in a small forum dedicated to surveillance technology and digital ethics. The posts were cryptic but chilling. They're listening. Not for crime. For intent. ED isn't a place. It's an algorithm. Project Eden equals predictive targeting plus political utility equals legalized erasure. Rihan downloaded everything. One clip was labeled Final Entry. In the faint voice, barely above a whisper, Zoya said, "It's not suicide if you're already being killed slowly. If you're reading this, I'm either running or erased. Either way, the file names are hidden in the yacht's firmware. You know where to look." Rihan knew luxury yachts like Al Zahra often came with discrete surveillance systems for insurance purposes. But publicly, the Malik family had claimed all internal security footage was inoperable due to system upgrades. Bullshit. He faked credentials as a systems maintenance contractor and slipped into the dry dock where the Al Zahra was being cleaned and repaired under tight but careless security. It took him 2 hours to crack into the local system archive. The CCTV files were password protected, time-stamped, and nearly all deleted. But something had been left behind, a fragment. He extracted one audio-video bite from the yacht's lower deck camera, recorded at 7:13 p.m., exactly 10 minutes after Zoya had been last seen. The screen glitched, stabilized briefly, then froze. A shadowy figure stood off camera. Zoya's voice echoed faintly. "You." Then silence. Rihan paused. That single word, "you," was personal. Recognition. Fear. Betrayal. She knew whoever it was. The clip had been scrubbed carefully, but not perfectly. In one blurred frame, Rihan isolated the corner of a military-style jacket sleeve. Using frame reconstruction software, he enhanced the stitching just enough to identify the insignia, Naval Cyber Intelligence. Only a few people had access to the surveillance server on the yacht. 3 were abroad. One, an intern named Danish Zubair, had been found dead in a hotel room 2 days after Zoya disappeared. The cause was ruled as suicide. That left Asad Haroun, a cybersecurity contractor with ties to Naval Intelligence and Malik Global's Internal Data Protection Unit. His last known address was in Clifton Block 9. Rihan headed there the next morning. Assad's apartment door was slightly ajar. Inside, it looked like someone had left in a panic, or been taken. Clothes on the floor. A laptop charger still plugged into a wall with the laptop missing. A cup of coffee on the table, cold. Nothing stolen, but everything disturbed. Then Rihan saw it. A torn envelope hidden under a rug, its seal broken hastily. Inside, a photograph. Zoya, standing between Asad Haroun and another man whose face had been scratched out violently. The scratch marks looked like fingernails, as if done in fear, not anger. On the back of the photo, in blue ink. "ED is real. She saw the files. I told her to run. ED. Not a project. Not a name. A code. Eden Directive." When Rihan first met Meher, she had been working as a digital forensic analyst during the Aisha Khan trial, a brutal political cover-up case. After being doxxed and nearly abducted, she disappeared from the legal world and re-emerged as a faceless fixer in Karachi's digital underworld. Now, she ran a nondescript photo editing studio near Sadar that masked a bank of deep-net terminals behind a false wall. Rihan found her watching CCTV feeds of a mall in Rawalpindi. "You look like you haven't slept since Musharraf's last speech," she muttered without looking. "Zoya Malik's missing," Rihan said, dropping the half-burned photo and USB with the yacht footage. That got her attention. She slid the footage into her decryption rig. "I've seen this before," she murmured, eyes narrowing. "Metadata's been spliced. But someone got lazy. They left a trace route, like a fingerprint in wet paint. Can you track it?" "I can do better." 2 hours later, Meher had extracted a hidden layer of code embedded in the video file. A ghost command string referencing an inactive military satellite server tagged under an obsolete code, Vault ED-47. "ED," Meher said. "Eden Directive. You just confirmed a conspiracy we've been hunting for 5 years. The Vault ED-47 file structure was buried 6 encryption layers deep. Once inside, they found a cache of internal Eden files, compiled logs, video footage, algorithm audits, and psych profiling reports. And one labeled ZM43, Tier 4 Alert." Rihan opened it. Zoya's whistleblower report. She had compiled and uploaded confidential evidence proving Malik Global's telecom infrastructure was being used to siphon call metadata, location tracking, and keyword pattern detection, not for advertising or research, but for national continuity algorithms. Translated, predictive censorship. The system marked threats before they happened, based on online behavior, associations, private messages. Eden didn't kill people. It erased them. Their faces. Their names. Their records. Their histories. And it worked. Rihan scanned the list of previous erasure candidates. Politicians. Student activists. A female professor from Lahore. A journalist from Quetta. And at the bottom of the list. Qureshi, Rihan, Tier 3, Elevated Surveillance. "I'm on the list," he whispered. "That's not the part that scares me," Meher said, pointing to a file titled Angel Sequence, Z, Node_17. It was Zoya's digital obituary, already written, time-stamped 2 days before she vanished. Zoya hadn't just discovered Eden Directive, she had triggered Angel Protocol, a classified measure wherein subjects identified as existential threats were either permanently neutralized or restructured. Rihan opened the restructure file. Zoya's face blinked on screen. But her name was changed. Her biometrics rerouted. A new identity card generated. All traceable links to her former life severed. But the restructure sequence had failed. The final entry in the log simply read: Subject non-compliant. Relocation denied. Threat level upgraded to Tier 4, erase. They hadn't reprogrammed her. They had gone with the other option. Rihan stepped back from the screen. "She's either dead," Meher said, "or, they're still trying to break her." "She's alive," he whispered. "She knew too much. That's why they haven't killed her. Yet. And now you know too much." Rihan returned to his rented room with the files, printing backups and encrypting them across shadow drives. The next morning, he found an envelope slid under his door. No stamp. No name. Inside, a flash drive. One file. Audio only. A familiar voice. "Zoya. If you're hearing this, you've seen the vault. I'm sorry, Rihan. I never wanted to drag you into this. I named you in my report, because I knew you'd be the only one stubborn enough to follow the trail. You were always the one who saw patterns others ignored. If I'm alive, I'm not me anymore. But if I'm not, burn everything. Or they'll come for your sister next." Click. Silence. Rihan sat there, motionless. The air around him was colder than the monsoon rain slapping against his windows. Then his phone buzzed. Unknown number. Message, you've made your move. Now it's our turn.